welcome to Sunday Club in the Stable. I'm Paul and this is Hannah.
Hi friends, missing you. Hope you're staying safe.
Hi friends.
Hi friends, missing you. Hope you're staying safe.
Hi there. Today we're going to discover a little bit more about, you guessed it, Samuel. Today in the story, Samuel's probably about 5 years old. So maybe as you listen to the story, you might want to imagine what it felt like being 5. Or if you're 5, you might know a little of how Samuel feels to be 5. But let's start with a game. This is a listening game. Listen very carefully to the sound I'm going to play you and see if you can work it out. So, what do you think it was?
Birds.
Well done, Paul. Did you get it? In our story today, Samuel has to do some listening and it takes him a bit of time to get it. So, right now, from every time that you hear the name Samuel, you have to say this.
Stand up, turn around, lie down.
And you have to do those actions because it happens a lot in the story today. So, Samuel
Stand up, turn around, lie down.
was living and working in the temple with Eli. Eli was beginning to have some struggles and he couldn't see very well, which meant he probably did some things the same all the time so that he could remember the routes that he took and the things that he did. And it was like that, probably with where he slept. And that's important in the story. Also important in the story was that God was there. Back in Samuel's day,
Stand up, turn around, lie down.
there was a lamp called the lamp of God, and it was still lit in the temple, symbolising that God was still there. Sadly, in the future, God's people let the lamp go out. But the writer of this bit in the Bible wanted us to know Eli was asleep in the same place as always and that the lamp of God had not gone out. Imagine it. It's night time. Oh, do you want to go and get your blanket? It's like an actual bedtime story.
Blanket please, Hannah.
So everyone is tucked up in bed, all snoring away. Well, maybe. When there was this voice that woke Samuel up.
Stand up, turn around, lie down.
He got up and ran to Eli, thinking it was him calling for help. Here I am, Eli. How can I help you? You called. I didn't call. Go back to bed and lie down and go to sleep.
I wonder how often our grown-ups say that to us.
Not long after this, when Samuel
Stand up, turn around, lie down.
had got back into bed, he heard a voice calling him. Samuel!
Stand up, turn around, lie down.
So Samuel
Stand up, turn around, lie down.
got up, goes to Eli and says, You called! Go back to bed. I didn't call, replies Eli. Even though Samuel
Stand up, turn around, lie down.
lived and served in the temple, he didn't yet know God like a friend, and he hadn't got to know God's word. So everyone is asleep in the temple again when it happens again. Samuel
Stand up, turn around, lie down.
is woken up by someone calling his name. So of course he gets up and he goes to see if Eli is okay and to see why Eli is calling him. But by this time, Eli realizes that it must actually be God calling. So he tells Samuel
Stand up, turn around, lie down.
to go back to bed and wait and listen. And when the voice comes again to say, "Speak, God, your servant is listening." So Samuel
Stand up, turn around, lie down.
went back to bed and waited and listened. Okay, you can stop doing
Stand up, turn around, lie down.
that every time you hear the name Samuel, because Samuel now stops.
I wonder what's going to happen, Hannah. I wonder if it is God actually speaking to Samuel.
It's exciting, isn't it, Paul? But I'm going to make you wait a little bit longer. We're going to have another go at our listening game. See if you can work out what this noise is.
Footsteps.
That's right, Paul. Good listening. I wonder, did you guys get it? So again, the voice calls Samuel, and Samuel replies as Eli told him to. "Speak, God, your servant is listening." And guess what? It was God. God spoke to Samuel. Well, actually, even more than that, it says that God came and stood there with Samuel.
Whoa!
I know, right? I wonder how Samuel felt. God gave our little 5-year-old Samuel some really, really important messages. He said, "I am about to do something amongst my people that will make their ears tingle."
Does it say that in the Bible about tingly ears?
It does, Paul. You see, God hadn't really given messages to his people for, well, quite a while. Probably because of a whole bunch of reasons. But it didn't actually mean that God wasn't there listening and watching over his people and loving them, even if they were ignoring him. Samuel, little 5-year-old Samuel, ended up having to deliver some pretty tough messages, especially to Eli from God. It was about his family and the fact that they turned their backs on God. And despite having already been warned about not forgetting God, fair play to Samuel for getting on and sharing the message, even though it was tough. The exciting thing about this sad and difficult stuff is that God was actually there at work doing stuff, even when it was a bit tricky. And he was using Samuel, a young boy who became so well respected among God's people. You see, it doesn't matter how old or how young you are, God can speak to you. And what do? We have to listen, then respond, which can be tricky sometimes. have a little look at 1 Samuel chapter 3 verse 9. It's what Samuel says to God. Speak, God, your servant is listening. Maybe we could learn to do that this week. God might speak to us in a voice or a picture or through other people or when we read the Bible. God might just enjoy being with us and having us listen to him. Maybe today you could do some listening to God, and remember, like Samuel, you might have to get up and do something for God. Thank you for joining Paul and I today for Sunday Club in a stable. If you liked what you've seen, give us a thumbs up in the bar below. And if you haven't already, why don't you subscribe? Because then you'll get told when we post a new video. But for now, it is bye from us and a virtual high five.